how you create your business or how you make your money or create your value. So I'm going to share my screen with you. I think last week I promised sending you some videos who were present last Tuesday, not this, the previous week Tuesday. I promised to send you a video. I think start out by Steve Jobs. The size is a little bit big, but I'll try and send it to either Jasper or Erasmus, and maybe they will find a way of making it available to you. So I don't think I need introduction. I have to introduce myself again. Hello.
Hi.
Yes, sure. Maybe yes, introduce yourself again, please.
Because I think last week Tuesday I facilitated that session, and I'm Professor Bernard Akaobi. I'm a faculty of the Impact Business School, and I teach courses in entrepreneurship and marketing at both undergraduate and postgraduate levels. In terms of research, my research is focused on entrepreneurship, the area of innovation, business growth networks, and also the informal sector. So I've looked at entrepreneurship in the informal sector and others. And those who want to know more, if you go to Google Scholar especially, and you Google Bernard Akaobi, I believe you will find a lot of my publications that you may find some interesting. And I have been involved in a lot of entrepreneurship projects, initiatives. Some are ongoing. And in Ghana, outside Ghana, and many other places. For the sake of time, I don't think I will be able to go through my profile, but I believe a profile of mine was sent to you, so you may have a brief knowledge about my background and what I do. But if in the course of the session, if you have any comment on the section, you can feel free and then ask me. One thing I always say is that for me, I believe in practice because entrepreneurship is a course that is practice. And we will try our best to make it practical as possible so that they can have some takeaways from this session. So I'm going to share my screen with you, and then we'll start from there. I believe you can see my screen. Do you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes, please. Yes.
Okay. So.
Yes, I see it. Yes, sir.
So, as I indicated earlier on, today's topic is strategy formulation for business expansion. Maybe you have been running your business for some time now. Now you have graduated from startup to business growth stage. But before you expand, you should have a clear understanding of where you want to be and how you want to get there. I have gone through the strategy formulation course that you did online. So I will limit myself to, because now I believe you understand some of the basic concepts, the theories, and even why strategy, and some of the strategy leaders across the globe. Now, in this session, I will focus more, we will look at in terms of strategy formulation, but in a practical way, and how you connect to your individual businesses, whether you are at the startup stage or whether you are at a growth stage. Even at the startup, you need to have a clear strategy from the outset. Without that, you may have some challenges when unexpected happen in terms of the business environmental factors change. So these are some of the learning outcomes. I know you have gone through the strategy formulation processes, but we will do a little bit of revision by giving a practical example regarding that. And then we will link it to business model and a business plan. Because business plan is also a strategy, if I should put it this way, because it's about how more or less you execute your model. And we will explain and also try to differentiate between these two terms. We will talk about understanding the business environment, and here analyzing the environment, and here we will look at the internal and external. How do you conduct environmental analysis? Because it's key part of strategy formulation, and I'll explain why. Then how do you link strategy to your business? And this is where your business plans comes in. And these days, many business schools don't teach business plans. The focus has always been on lean canvas or the business model canvas. But business plan is also key, especially even if you're a startup and you need external support. Apart from having a beautiful model, investors will love, whether even business angels or whether venture capitalists, will really love to have a fair idea of your plan. So we talk about that and how to prepare a simple business plan. And above all, putting all together, developing your own entrepreneurial skills, and also developing a culture for your business. And this is very key because Apple as a company, I'm using Apple because we are familiar with Apple. We all use Apple products. And Apple is one of the most successful companies in the world. So, but they are where they are because they, from the outset, they develop a particular culture. And that culture makes them or set them apart from others. So there will be, I'll show a video about the why core values matter by Steve Jobs, the course of our discussions. So these are the learning outcomes. I believe you have done a lot of courses and strategy formulation, for instance, is a course that you did online. But before I walk you through, let's have some kind of conversation. So when we say you are formulating a strategy, you are developing a strategy, what do you mean? What do we mean? Yes. Hello, are you there?
Yes, sir, we are getting you.
Yes. So when we say, what do you understand by a strategy, the word strategy? Not a textbook meaning, maybe your own basic understanding.
Hello, can I say something?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Good afternoon. I'm Alaji Salibuba from Sierra Leone.
Yes.
What I understand about strategy, it is a plan of action designed to achieve long or short-term goal. They are plans that you do, especially in business, to get to your customers in order for your business to succeed. That is my understanding about it.
That's wonderful. Plan of action designed to achieve short or long-term goals. Alagi, I believe I'm right, based on your definition. And definitely, hello.
Yes, sir, I'm getting you now, sir. Yes, sir. Your line was breaking.
Yes, okay, it was breaking, but is it okay now?
Yeah, it's okay now. It's okay.
Okay, I was trying to repeat what you said. You said it's a plan of action designed to achieve either short or long-term goals. And I'm picking some two key words from this, or even three key terms. You have goals, you have achieving something, and you have action. So, and I think a larger definition is perfect. And in a sense, we say it's a long-range management tool that helps businesses to be proactive in the way they respond to the environmental changes. So because you have a clear goal, you are starting a business, you have a clear vision where you want to be, you have a clear understanding what you need to do today and the days that will follow to get there. So more or less, strategy comes with setting goals or having objectives and coming up with methods, techniques that will help you to get to that destination. And the good thing about strategic planning, and here we will, how we go, I will link it to the business plan. This is just a revision because you've already done this. Is that when you are planning for your company, it helps you to conduct a lot of analysis internally. First, you need to really understand yourself. And then externally, you need to understand the environment you want to operate in before you can set your goals or decide where you want to be and then how to get it. You see, and I always use this analogy to explain strategy. You have done it, this is just a revision, because you are going to link it to how a business plan can be derived from a broad strategic formulation. Let's assume one day, and maybe getting to these Easter holidays, you and your friends, your family, well, let's assume your friends decided to visit an island where many people normally go there to have fun. But to get to the island, either through a helicopter or through a boat. So you manage to get a boat to get to the island. So let's assume my stylus is really disappointing me. Where we have the strategic analysis, I believe you can see on the screen. The X, where we have used the red pen to mark the X, is where you are on the island. So that is the island. But let's assume at a point in time, you are with your friends, having fun, and as a result, you decided to take some drinks, alcoholic drinks, to a point that you couldn't control yourself that much. You started misbehaving and decided to go and rest somewhere under a tree where nobody will be able to see you. But unfortunately, when it got to the time that you and your friends were leaving, they forgot about you. So everybody left the island. you alone was there. So now your question is, how do you move from the island, crossing the ocean or the river to the mainland? Why we have the second X is your objective. Your objective is to move from the first X to the second X, where you get to the shore of the mainland. And I'm using this analogy to explain what a strategy is. So strategies start with having a goal or objective, where you want to be at any point in time. This is the first point. I believe you've learned this. Now, the next question that comes to mind is, how do I get there? How do I get to the destination where you want to be? So first, with goals. Second, with the methods to get there. And those methods are what we term what? The strategic options. So let's say, in this instance, you need to really identify or come out with the various options available to you to get to the mainland. But before you're able to come out with the various options, you need to conduct some kind of analysis about yourself, for instance, and also the environment where you find yourself on the island. So the point here is that before you can make any strategic decision, there is the need to conduct environmental analysis, which is key. And this environmental analysis may have two key components, internal and that of what? External. So internally, you look at your resources. If I want to call for a helicopter, do I have the money to pay for it? Even do I have a mobile phone on me? Other internal options. If I want to swim to the mainland, can I swim? Internally, do I know how to swim? This internal analysis. Alternatively, if I want to make a raft, cutting pieces of wood, joining them, putting it on the river or the sea to paddle to the mainland, do I even have tools to make that raft? So making the raft is one strategic option. Swimming is one option. Calling for a helicopter shuttle is one option. And then using a boat is one option. These are all strategic options. But before I arrive at these four key options, I conducted internal and the external analysis. Externally, are there trees even on the island that I can cut? And if I can cut them, are there threads that I can join the trees that I have cut? That's the external environment. So analyzing external environment and internal analysis will help you to identify the various options available, the various methods that you can adapt to achieve your objective. So the second term is strategic option. Now, acting on the strategy, either you go by swimming, either you decide to choose the boat shuttle or the helicopter, each one of them. The one you choose and calling the boat, inviting the boat to come to the shore, the timing and everything that you may need to get to the mainland is the tactics. So the point I'm saying is that normally strategies formulation start with objective or having the problem. You see, my problem is, how do I get to the mainland? I found myself to be alone on the island. I need to get to the mainland. But before I get to the mainland, I need to conduct some kind of analysis about myself and the environment. And based on that, then I can decide that there are these options available. But in this case, bus may not be an option. Renting a car may not be an option. Taxi may not be an option, but a helicopter shuttle or a boat or swimming and others may be. the option you would choose may be the strategic option, the one you decide to implement is the one that you have the strategy that you have recommended. And you, even in terms of recommendation, there should be pros and the cons. The one you implement is the tactics. So in a strategic formulation, these three key components to come into place: objective, your strategy, and the tactics. As we have them here. Objective results to be attained before a certain date. Strategies, a set of carefully selected or integrated business priorities. And then tactics, implementing your strategy is a tactics. Please, are you following the conversation? This is a revision, I believe.
Yes, we are.
Okay, so let's move on.
Yeah.
So as I indicated, before you can make any strategic decision, you need to conduct internal and external environmental analysis to be able to understand the various options available to you and recommending one or two or three to implement. And when you start the process of operationalizing or implementing, you are at the practical stage. So in developing a strategy, some of the key questions you need to ask is, what is the problem to be solved? And at the end of the day, that becomes your objective. So in a business setup, for instance, you will say, what is the problem? Because you say in a business setup, every problem is an opportunity. And as we discussed last week, Tuesday, identify your ideal customers, knowing their problems, challenges, and understanding their issues better, you're able to come out with solutions. Because businesses provide solutions to people. People pay money for those solutions in return. As I said, now that you have identified the problem, or you have your objective, what kind of information will help you to achieve those objectives? Yes, information will help you to make a decision or to come up with a method of achieving those objectives. So that's the strategic analysis. And the resources coming out, the various options, they are all part of the strategic plan. Choosing one of the strategic options to implement is a tactical plan or operationalization. And operationalization means you are acting, or you are, acting on the strategic option. So in this case, the boat case, for instance, deciding that you want to go by boat, then you have to find out which boat, how much will it cost you, booking time, and the time to pick you, and all those things. Going through the processes and implementing is at the tactical stage. So in strategy formulation, there are, as we have explained, especially those of you who are already in your businesses, if you are formulating a strategy for an existing business, in that case, you have your vision, mission, core values. But the question is, product, services, but the question is, where are you now in your business setup? Because knowing where you are will help you to determine where you want to go, your destination objective. And coming out with objectives, then because you have conducted analysis of your organization and also the environment you operate, you're able to come up with various strategies. And then at the end of the day, you put measures in place to ensure that when you are implementing, they are executed. Now, how then do you situate a business plan in the context of the strategy formulation that we have just discussed, and that you have also done as a course online? how do you plan for your business in the context of the strategy formulation that we just discussed? How do we fit business plan in this context? And is there a difference between a business plan and a business model? Is there a difference? Yes. If somebody knows the answer, please, you can really respond to that. Is there a difference between a business plan and a business model? But just last week, you studied business model, I think last Tuesday. So we understand what a business model is. Or let's try and give the definitions first, then we will come out with the differences.
Okay, I will need to speak, but it's about the
Yes,
different.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I believe, yes, they're different. A business model is part of a business plan. So a business plan is it's bigger than the business model. Business plan includes, it's mostly for presentation, I believe, like to present like a business to investor, and for personal use as well, for like tracking one's own business. But the business model is just like the let's say we discuss the problem, the strategy, the big points. Like the business plan is more detailed.
Okay, so yes, I agree with you. In a way, business plan is more detailed, and a business model can be a component of a business plan. Adipo, I think that is your business plan is broader, detailed, but business model can be part of a business plan. That's a very good point. Who else? Who else? Okay, let's try to understand what a business plan is first. What is it? In the context of strategy formulation, what is it? What is a business plan? Then we also try to understand what business model is. So Adipo has been able to come out with some kind of explanation, but I want to go a little bit further. So when we say a business plan, who really can help us?
What was the question again? Sorry.
Yes. What is a business plan? We don't need any textbook definition. What you understand by the term. And here I want you to explain it in the context of strategy. Because Alaji was able to really explain very well what the strategy is. Plan of action designed to achieve set goals. That's a strategy. Can we also define business plan in that context? Or business plan may be different? Yes. Please, you can raise up your hand. Is there any hand up? No hand up? Any of you can raise up your hand, please. You see, we are discussing this in the context of coming out with a strategy to grow. And as a small business owner manager, if I want to expand, what kind of document do I need to develop?
I'll go again. I think we need to develop a business plan, definitely. It's a business plan that will help us grow.
Okay, so you need to develop a business plan. So in that case, we can say that then business plan can also be defined or explained as a document that spells out the goals and aspirations of a company and also how to attain those goals. Does it make sense in that regard?
Yes.
Okay. If that is the case, then I think Adibo made a point that the business plan or business model can be a subset of business plan. But what is a business model to? Let me come back to a business model. What is it? This is a revision because last week, just this week, last Tuesday, you had a conversation on the business model. What is it?
All right, Prof. So I think this is Grace Ann.
Yes.
I think the maybe I'll start from business plan. So in the simplest of definitions or explanation, I would classify the business plan as the vehicle or the car of the business, which is going to drive us to our destination, which is to achieve our goals. Then I'll classify the business model as the engine of the car, moving the passengers to their final destination.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very good. That's very good explanation in terms of the difference. So, meaning, when we say the business, can you mute? Grace, mute. Okay.
I'm sorry, Prof. All right.
Okay, that's fine. So I like your definition a lot. Business model can be explained as an engine, and business plan being the vehicle that will take us to the destination. So business model becomes a component. In short, we can say that business model explains how businesses create value or make their money. You see, explains how businesses create value or make their money. But when it comes to business plan executes the model. But business plan also look into the future. That if this is how we're going to make our money, for the next 3 years, 4 years, how do we execute it, implement it? So I agree with Adibo and then Grace when you all said that business model then is a component of a business plan. I want us to look at this. You may not have the context of this, but the chapter 3 is an entrepreneurship textbook. So can somebody read this for us? Somebody should read it and let's have a discussion, a short discussion on this. Why business plan matters. Does it even matter at all? We want a volunteer. Just read for us what's on the screen. And then
a question for class discussion.
Okay.
Kelly Mensah, a friend of yours just told you an interesting story. He was at her parents' house over the weekend and his father saw an entrepreneurship book lying next to his backpack. He picked it up and read chapter 3. He told Kelly, "When you were growing up, I started and sold 3 successful businesses and never completed a business plan once. I wonder what the authors of your entrepreneurship book would say about that." If you could advise Kelly about how to respond to his father, what would you tell him to say?
So let's say you are asked to advise Kelly on this. What are you going to tell him? Yes. Because there are many businesses that have been successful, but maybe we never completed a business plan. So the Kelly father is asking, why business plan? Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead.
I mean, and advice. It's to tell his father. I mean, he can tell his father. Yeah, it's possible. It's. I mean, business plan. Business plan is a useful tool, but I think one can go if one is very business savvy and stuff. He can go without it and still grow and sell businesses. I mean, it depends on the on what business we are talking about. There's different factors, right?
Yeah.
So he can tell his dad, yeah, you did it, but it doesn't mean that it's not necessary, or it's not because you were successful without it. That means that it's not useful. So he can say that.
That's a very good point, Adipo. Who else?
I would like to go for
Yeah,
Okay,
can I?
go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm playing this question. Go ahead.
Okay, Success. So my point is, if I read correctly, his dad told Kelly's dad told him that he started and he started and sold.
Yes.
So that is my reference point. So you started it, but then at a point you have to sell it. Why? Why did you start it in the first place if you were not going to maintain it? Okay, probably because you didn't have a good plan. If you were my dad, this is what I would tell him. Probably because you didn't have a plan. That is why you had to sell all three businesses at some point. For me, that is what I would tell him.
But success, the father is saying
Yes.
successful businesses. He saw three successful. The business were doing well before selling them.
Okay. This is my view. Maybe when I listen to others, I may have a change of mind.
Okay. Yes, last person, last comment on this, then move on.
Okay. For me, I will just tell my Kelly's father that okay, maybe you used your own money for funding, you know. But for me, maybe I will be looking for partners, and I cannot go in search of partners without having a business plan. And also, if I need external funding for my business, I will definitely have to prepare a business plan.
Definitely, you are right. I agree with that point, because if you want external people to come in there, definitely you need to have some kind of a business plan. So that's key. But my comment on this is that every entrepreneur has a plan. Our mothers or friends who have never had opportunity to have a formal education and even gone through courses like this, entrepreneurship, new venture creation, some of them have really been successful in their businesses. The point is that they don't have a business plan, because a business plan should be a written document. But for them, they have it at the back of their mind, in their heads. So because it's not a written narrative or a written document, they don't have. But that doesn't mean that they don't have any plan in running the business. And as Adipo indicated, if you want external people to come in, then definitely you may need a business plan. So in short, a business plan tells what a business objectives
Can I
are
ask a question?
and how. Yes, go ahead and ask.
A plan that is not written, I cannot refer to that plan as a business plan. I mean, like you said, every business has a plan. But if
Yes.
let's say, for one reason or the other, it is not in a written form, can I not refer to that plan? Because I have my plan. This is how I want to go with my business. This is where I'm looking to go. But I did not put it down in a written document. Can I not refer to that plan as a
That is not,
business plan?
because let's assume one day something happens and you are no more. Can somebody get those ideas and run the business as you would have done?
But we can sit as a board and have a discussion. It will not. It doesn't primarily mean that I should have the whole system in my head, but I will send the message to each and every member of the business, because in some cases family businesses are there. The father is the owner of the business, but he have the son. But he will explain to him everything.
Yes.
Let's say if the father is not an educated father, but he wants to just tell the guy, this is our plan, this is how we want to go with it, and this is how we will be going with it.
Yes, I understand your point, but so far as it is not a written document, you cannot tell me it's a business plan. What are you going to show? What are you going to touch? Because the business plan has two major purposes for internal use and external usage. Internally, business plans serve as an operational document, which more or less guides the day-to-day, how to run the day-to-day affairs of the company. In that case, that document will be very detailed. It can be something up to 150. Secondly, a business plan can be used as an external purpose. And this is where, when you want to go to a bank, when you want equity investor or a business angel to come in, sometimes they want to have a look at your plan, especially formal institutions, formalized institutions. Then they will demand, where is your business plan? So even if you have it at the back of your head, you need to put it in what? In writing. You need to put it in writing. And that is key. Have I been able to respond to that?
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. I want us to discuss how to write a business plan in the context of the strategy formulation that we have explained earlier on. To be frank, unfortunately, I have wanted to write this on the whiteboard on my computer screen, but I'm having issues with my stylus. So to be frank, today I'll not be able to write on my screen to explain this to you, but I will talk you through it. And then later on, when I'm done, we will follow step by step in writing a business plan. And as I explained, maybe if you have some notes, daughters, please take note of that. So after the discussions, you can find out if you can maybe prepare something simple business plan for your company. Now, when we discuss strategy formulation, we came up with three key components. We have objectives. Then we have strategy. And we have tactics. I want us to discuss how a business plan can fit into this strategy formulation concepts. So first, I'm going to just give you a simple explanation, basic explanation of putting a business plan together. And later on, I'll take you through step-by-step processes where we look at it a little bit. Now, let's assume you want to start a business. And the business, you want to sell, let's say, bicycles. You want to sell bicycles. And here, not just ordinary bicycles. You want to sell speed bikes. Bicycle for those who want to compete and what have you. And maybe in your region, your objective is that by the end of a 3-year cycle of the business life, you should become the market leader of that business or in that industry. Please, are you following the discussions? At the end of the day, your objective is that when it comes to selling of speed bikes, in the next 3 years, in your region, your community, you want to be the number one. Okay, so we have set out our objectives. Now, the question is, how or even what kind of information do I need to help me to make an informed decision in terms of the kind of customers I should focus on in terms of the type of even speed bikes that I should focus on, and even how I should make my bikes different from others. What do you think? Before I can be in a better position to make these kind of decisions, I need to understand the market of speed bike in the area. True of us?
True.
Who are the people
True, sir.
likely to buy speed bikes in our community? So first, in terms of the market, maybe the customers. I need to understand the different group of customers that buy speed bikes. That is one. I need to understand, even in terms of the market, what is the size? How many people would like to buy speed bikes in this region? What is the trend? Is the number of people buying speed bikes going up? You see, all these are aspects of information about the market. You also need to ask yourself, which businesses are already in existence selling speed bikes? So who are your competitors? Are you following? Which
Yes,
business
sir.
are
Yes, sir, we are following.
selling speed
Yes,
bikes?
sir, we are following.
And even in your community, what regulations have the district assembly or the government put in place when it comes to the speed bike industry? Are you following? So
Yes,
all
sir.
the, I would have really loved to be writing this on the screen so that at least you follow the steps I'm talking about. So this kind of analysis is what I'm conducting external environmental analysis or strategic analysis, but this is what external to the business. Now, internally, I have to look from within to internal analysis. What kind of speed bikes do I think I have the capability to sell the most? What technical know-how do I have? What resources do I have internally? How much money do I have in my disposal? So putting external, internal analysis together, doing these two analyses, you're able to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, and the opportunities are in terms of the analyzing the market, talking to customers. Now, every family wants to have a speed bike in your region, in your community. So there's an opportunity or there's an increased demand for speed bikes. But at the same time, looking at the environment, maybe the district assembly or the government is coming out with a policy that anybody riding a speed bike has to be trained for 3 or 4 or let's say 5 days before the person can ride a speed bike. And as a result, you need a license. This policy may be a threat to your business. You see, all that I'm trying to say is that conducting internal and external analysis helps you to identify strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats about the business. Now, knowing what I know now, I can then come back and say that when I get in terms of my marketing, how I do the business, then I can explain that in terms of customers, I'm going to serve these particular people. People who are families are earning or income, household with income level of, let's say, $1,000 a month. With kids and living in a particular area in your city or region. So you define who your customers are going to be because you have already spoken to them. You have already analyze their needs, their wants, and then when you come back to setting up your strategy in achieving your objectives, because you have done the analysis, now you have a fair idea the people, customers you want to serve. And the marketing people will say, who are your target customers? Now, knowing these people, what value are you proposing to them? What is the value proposition? And when you say value proposition, what do we mean? Because I know that maybe today you discuss value proposition. So what is value proposition? Yes. Who will help us?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Yes, go ahead.
Hello.
And when we say value proposition, yes, when we say value proposition, these are the things that make you different from other people, other businesses.
Exactly. But when we say value proposition, we are talking about what? Things about your products, the features, the benefits that differentiate your product, your brand from the competition. We always say, when we say value proposition, what should be the reason why somebody should buy your product? And the reason that you give is the value you are proposing to that person. So in your business plan, you need to define your value proposition. And then you need to tell your customers your unique selling proposition, or yes, or your differentiation strategy, which is linked to your value proposition. Are you following? So having fair idea, you can now come and forecast that for the next sales, forecast your sales. So that for the next 3 years, I'm going to sell, let's say 10,000 bicycles. And each year I'll be selling 3,000, and the last year will be 4,000, making 10,000. By the next 3 years of this document plan I'm putting together, I'm going to sell 10,000 bicycles. You forecast your sales. And we shall look at that also in details. Now, having a fair idea, your customers, what you intend to sell to them, the next key component, so in this business plan that you are putting together, we have discussed providing a brief description of your business, setting your objectives, and what have you. You have conducted the analysis of the environment before setting your marketing strategy. Now you have your marketing strategy or marketing plan. The next key component is the people's plan. The people's plan in the business plan. And here we are talking about the management plan. In a business plan, you have to explain who are the key people running this business. So you need to provide a profile of your key management team. Are you following?
Yes,
Please,
sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
yes. It's rather unfortunate. I cannot write on the screen for you to really follow the steps well, but you can have your small daughter taking notes of that. So in a business plan, we have marketing plan, which you provide your marketing strategy. But we are saying that in a business plan also, we have a section called management plan or people plan, which spells out the people behind. Because if an investor is coming to your business, apart from presenting a very nice marketing strategy, they will ask, who are the people behind this business? So we have people's plan. And in that case, you need to prepare a personnel schedule or table where you list the number of people you may need and the key requirements that these people should have before you hire them. I'll show you a template of that. So when you are done with the people that are going to run the business, how are you going to operationalize it? We have operational plan in a typical business plan. And in this case, What kind of equipment will you need to run this business? What kind of features and fittings will you need? A vehicle, if you need a vehicle, you need a shop. Where will that shop be located? All this comes under operational plan and how you set up the factory warehouse or the factory building setup. They are all part of the operational plan. And under the operational plan, you also have what we call the milestone or schedule of activities. I'll walk you through that. Now, having operational plan, the next key component is that now having all this, how are you going to finance your business? How are you going to finance your business? And to determine the amount of money you need to finance your business, you need to know the startup cost. Startup cost, meaning if I'm going to hire this number of people, I need this amount of money. If I'm going to buy this equipment, I need this amount of money. If I'm going to buy this vehicle, I need this amount of money. Then I may also need working capital. For the next 3 months, that you may not be earning any revenue. You need some small money to run the day-to-day affairs of the business. So putting this together become your startup cost, which become the money that you need to start the business. Apart from that, you need to also prepare projected or forecast income statements, forecast balance sheet, forecast cash flow to convince the person that if you invest in this company, the first year I'm going to make this amount of profit. Our asset value will go up this level and our cash balance will be this amount. So in short, a business plan should have this kind of composition and elements. Is there any question, any comment before I take you through the slides step by step on this? And then we look at other aspects of the discussions, which is developing or building your organization or your business culture and the team. Yes. It's rather unfortunate I couldn't really write this on the screen for you really to follow the steps I wanted. But is there any comment, any question? Oh, I'm confusing you. Let's talk, please.
No, sir. Everything is well understood.
Okay.
Doc, Alaji is here.
Yeah, Alaji, go ahead.
And I just have one question to ask.
Yes, go ahead.
For example, in my country presently in Sierra Leone, we are going through currency depreciation. Our currency is depreciating at a speed rate to that of the USD. In a country like this, when you don't even know what is going to happen the next moment, you understand? How can you put up a business plan that will not, disrupt within the next few starting days of your business? Because presently in my country today, the dollar rate will be at this point, and maybe tomorrow it will be in a shooting point, and not just 1%, maybe 5%. So in this kind of an economy that you live, how are you going to put up a successful business plan?
Business plan. That's a very good point. Because there's even a saying that in business plans, by the time you start printing the document that you have written nicely, it's out of date. So a good business plan shouldn't be static. It should be dynamic, meaning it should have room for adjustment. And normally when you are making projections, especially in the financial statement, because you are saying maybe you are preparing this document for the next 3 years, and you need to project the income for next year, the following year, the following year. And as you are saying, the depreciation of Ghana, for instance, we are not immune to that. We are also the same, having this kind of currency depreciation, which is really affecting businesses. What you need to do is that you need to make certain assumptions that in this case, and I'll show you when we come to the financial, I'll show you the template. In this case, you make assumption that even as I prepare the income statement on monthly basis, each month, our currency is going to be depreciated by 10% each month. So in that case, if you are preparing the income statement on monthly basis, you adjust it 10% monthly. So each month, all your figures should be increased by 10%, meaning you are factoring in what? The depreciation of the currency. And it's an assumption. It may not be the reality, but it may be close to reality. So when you are making projections, especially the income statement and forecasting, you really need to factor in some of these issues, like inflation. If you are projecting your expenses, you need to factor in that each month prices are going up by, let's say, 15%. And as a result, you also need to increase your prices, the figures you use for salaries, for overheads, and all those items by that percentage. So, and even still, so what I can advise is that your business plan should be a working document in which from time to time you update it. Because there's a saying that by the time you start again printing, the document is out of date. Yes, but have I been able to respond to your question very well?
Very well, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
You're welcome. Yes, is there any other question on the key components discussed so far? And you see, one of the good things about a business plan is that it forces you to think about the business, analyze the environment, analyze the risk factors and all those components. And if by the time you finish it, sometimes you may be tempted even to change your mind on certain things because the research you have done. So it can be a very useful exercise because it can help you to also understand your business very well. Is there any other question on this? Okay, so let's look at the components. Normally, every business plan starts with executive summary. And the executive summary summarizes the entire document into one page. So that if you want to show your business plan to an investor, first the investor can look at the executive summary. If he is convinced, he'll say, okay, let me take my time and look at the detail, what is in the meat. Look at the details. So executive plan more or less in every business plan comes first. It's first to be read. But you have to note that you have to finish preparing your business plan document first before you can start writing your executive summary. So executive summary is the first to be read, but the last to be written when putting your business plan together. Is there any comment, any question? Can we move on? Okay, let's go ahead. Now, so normally executive summary comes first, as I indicated. The first section of the business plan is about description of your company. And here, if you have a business model which summarizes how you are going to create value or make your money, then you can reflect on your business model and describe your company, especially if it's a lean canvas. But the lean canvas defines your problem and the solution. So give a brief description. What opportunity have you identified? If it is existing business, then for the past 3 years, write a brief history about the company. When did you start? How did you start? Where are you? A typical business plan, therefore, to have the vision, mission statement, as you have done in the strategy course. It should have core values, and you set objectives. Example, to be the market leader in speed bike segment in this region by the end of year 3. This is a broad business objective that at the end of the span of this document, business plan, that's where you want to be. But before you can achieve this objective, there's certain information that you need to really analyze to make a strategic decision. So you need to conduct strategic analysis, as we have explained. And this has the internal and the external, as I explained later on. Okay, why external analysis? Please, let's read this short case. Do you see this case on your screen?
Yes, sir, we are seeing it.
Me, I don't see it.
Analyzing the business environment. You don't see
Yes, we are
it.
seeing.
You are
We are
seeing it.
seeing.
Okay.
Well, me, I'm not seeing. I don't know what's going on, but I'm not seeing anything.
What device are you using?
I'm using a laptop.
Oh, then you should see it, because so far as your colleagues have seen it.
I'm still on the page where it's how to prepare a business plan, mini case, whatever. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
The same thing with me.
Okay, so okay, let me
I think I'm also seeing the same thing that
Okay.
Adepo is saying.
Okay. Then I know where you people are.
Okay, I'm also seeing the same thing.
Okay, so wait, I'm going back and then see if I can show it. Okay, now can you see it?
Yes, I think we can see a Word document.
Yes, sir.
You can all see it now. Well, I mean, I can see it now.
Okay, so please let's read this short case briefly, and then let's have a short discussion. So I'll slow it down when you get to the. So maybe let's take about 2 minutes to read this stuff.
Sir, could you please bold it a little bit?
Okay, I should bold it a little bit there. Is it better?
Yes, sir, it's better now.
Okay.
Well, maybe you can move up if everybody is done.
Can I move up? Okay.
Wait a bit. Okay, a bit, just a bit.
Wait a bit, sir. We're still reading.
Okay.
Another basic to item. Our successful interpretations.
Please mute your mic.
Check the.
Please mute it. Somebody has the mic on.
Up.
Up there.
Up, please.
Believe we can go to the second page.
Okay. Almost one. The second page just have few. Okay. So what went wrong? That's the question. What went wrong with this entrepreneur?
Is that it? Is that?
Yeah, that's all. That's all.
Okay. I think it was lack of knowledge, lack of how am I gonna say it? Ignorance. Let's say ignorance about competition and innovations. Let's say it like that.
Okay.
So lack of what?
Innovation.
Innovation.
Lack of innovation and knowledge. Let's say knowledge about competition and also innovative ways of printing out. Yeah, like of new technology, let's say like that, and new competitors.
Can I say something?
Can I also add that he wasn't street smart and he wasn't doing research, he wasn't doing surveys, he wasn't doing evaluations, he wasn't monitoring, basically.
I would say lack of foresight or future innovation. Well, as well, not having a business plan ahead of it.
It lacked the ability of being an entrepreneur. You just inherit the business.
Yeah, but you see, this is a business that was employing about 4 people, including his wife.
He inherited the business. That second generation. It's something that he just jumped into because he already met it. So he don't try to even develop himself in entrepreneurship. He don't acquire other knowledge. Yeah. So he's not an entrepreneur.
No, but he didn't give up. But what else can we say? Because at the point he said he thought his customers were happy with him. But when the demand started going down, then he realized there was something wrong.
Not ask for feedback. He did not ask for feedback.
He did not ask for feedback.
I think he had feedback since he said he surveyed his clients and his clients were happy. So it's like the feedback that he was gathering was about his services, and obviously people was happy about his services. But there's other I'll say there's other considerations I didn't take. Well, not other consideration, other aspects that I didn't take into consideration. Like for example, people can order things at home and it'll be delivered at home. It's easier to do that than actually go to a shop, even if you're satisfied. Maybe you have constraints and stuff like that. So it didn't adapt. There's a problem of adaptation to market and demand. Let's say it like this.
The problem of adaptation to market and demand. Okay, my last question. At what point did he identify the problems the company was facing or the causes of the decline in customers' demand? At what point did he realize?
When revenue started decreasing, when his competitor went out of business and stuff, I guess.
Exactly. But when competitor went out of business, his demand started going up and then started falling again. But I think he did something. The man did something. Okay.
Maybe one of the things as well, I don't know, maybe he was offering too many different products. Maybe that was one of the things as well. Because like at the end, you can see that he's talking about events and stuff. That's what this company offers best. At least that's what I understood. So from up, like there were solutions that were better than him, but he kept I don't know, serving different products rather than focusing on one.
You see, and I want to highlight on this. Have you seen why I have highlighted in the case? He said, I started analyzing what was happening and what were the reasons. So as some of you indicated, this man was not conducting any kind of environmental analysis, conducting any research, talking to customers, talking to maybe identify, because even initially he thought he had just one competitor in the town until the competitor closed and still his customers' demand still going down. So the lesson here is that if you are running a business and you don't analyze the internal and the external environment to understand the changing taste of customers, to understand the new technology coming in, to really understand who your true competitors are, you can find yourself in this same situation. Let's assume Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola. These two companies fought between themselves for many years, forgetting that there were a number of companies that were taking away their customers. So the point I want to draw your attention to here is that who is your real competitor? Today, I can say that Coca-Cola, for instance, and I believe in Liberia, Nigeria, Sierra Leone, Ghana, people sell fresh coconut. They cut it and people drink, and then the fresh inside it, they use spoons to scoop them and eat. Today, those selling fresh coconut on the street, backyards, are competitors of Coca-Cola because people are becoming health conscious. So instead of taking that carbonated drink full of sugar, they will go for fresh coconuts. Are you getting my point?
Yes, we are.
So the point is that you can only identify who your customers are, who your competitors are, by talking to your customers. That if you don't buy from me, if you don't come here to buy our products, where do you go to buy the product? Which product will supplement your afternoon Coca-Cola drink that you buy every day? So you need to talk to your customers, but even if I increase my price, for instance, what product will you switch to? The product that the customer will switch to is your competitor. Is your competitor. So there is the need for us to constantly monitoring our external environment. So external analysis is key. And having conducted your internal analysis, you summarize them in terms of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats, as I explained. Then having done that, then you can set your marketing objectives and come out with your marketing strategy in a typical business plan. So the third component of a business, the first one, the company description. Second one is analyzing the environment, market research, industry analysis, and the government regulations or PESTEL. Having done that, you summarize that in the form of strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and the threats. Then after strength, weakness, opportunity, and threat, you come up with marketing what? Plan, you set out marketing objectives and marketing strategies. So you describe who your target customers are. You describe the value proposition. What are you offering to these customers? What makes your product unique? What is your unique selling proposition that can convince people to buy? Then having set out your marketing strategies, How do you implement your market? What product you define or describe your brand? You explain how you will price the product. You explain how you will sell the product or make your product available to customers. Is it direct or you are going to use intermediaries? You need to understand some of these concepts. Are you selling to business customers or consumer customers? You need to really understand some of these concepts. Then how do you promote your product? If it is a tangible product, marketers call them the 4 Ps. Product description, your pricing strategy, your place where you sell it, and how you promote it. But if it is a service, like you're operating a barbering salon, then you also need to define who are the people delivering this service. What kind of training have you offered to them or given to them? What is the service delivery process? When I enter your salon, what are the processes I will go through for my hair to be nicely cut and leave in your shop? You explain. And in the environment that you create or you deliver the service, what is the setup like? So if it is a service, you have the 7 Ps to implement. If it's a tangible product, you have the 4 Ps to implement your marketing strategy. Then you come out with what is now your sales plan. How are you going to sell? So you need to forecast sales. And in this sales forecasting, you come up with your sales strategy, how you attract customers. You have your website, you push customers through your website to your salon. Or you have your flyers, you distribute advantage points. Or you have people you have hired to go around to look for customers for you. You need to explain your sales strategy. And you need to forecast your customers that in each month, how many items are you going to sell? And maybe typical example of a sales plan. Can you see what's the screen?
Still same issue, no?
Okay, maybe let me go back again. Okay. You see, a sales forecast document can be this way. And this is an Excel sheet, meaning each month you forecast the number of units of, let's say, bicycle you can sell. So in this case, each month, and this can be translated in quantity. So instead of being in value, this can be that for month January, I will sell 5,000 bikes. February, I will sell 6,000. March up to December. Then you multiply these quantities by the selling price. And this is where, like the friend in Liberia indicated, in a situation where your prices, the inflation or the depreciation of the currency is almost on daily basis, then in each month, you have to change your selling price based on the exchange rate if you are importing the bikes. So the selling price for January will not be the same as selling price for February. So you multiply the selling price by the quantity you sell to determine the amount of revenue you generate on a monthly basis. And when you put all together, you have amount of revenue you generate at the end of the month. Sales plan is very important because these figures you have will feed into your income statement, your profit and loss accounts. That is why sales plan is very important. So you need to plan your sales that each month, how many customers can I serve if I'm running this barbering salon? You need to forecast, and it should be part of your business plan. Is there any comment or question on the sales plan document?
None for now, sir.
Okay, so I should go on.
Yes, sir.
I also did indicate that in a business plan, you should also have people's plan or management plan. And this is where you write about 4 pages, 4 sentences explaining the profile or the experience or the expertise of your key management team. So if you have 4 key management team, you can write their qualification, experience in industry, about 4 pages for each, because investors will look for that. Then when you are done with that, with the personnel and the compensation plan, if, for instance, the key management, you have 4 people, maybe CEO 1, financial controller 1, marketing person 1, and maybe supervisor 1. These are the key people. Maybe the operational level, you may need about 5 workshop hands or factory hands. In that case, you come down and spread out their qualification and the requirement. So a typical people's plan after the profiling will look like this. I'm also going to show you another template. Please, if you don't get anything, let me know. Okay. So this is an example of the people's plan. The hiring, especially if you're a startup and you need to develop a hiring plan. So in this document, you have the role. The product designer, for instance, a role. You have the web designer. You have the sales rep. How many of these people do you need? Number of people you may need for each role who comes in. Is it going to be a full-time or a part-time person you need to hire? What results do you expect from these people? Because the results expected from them will help you to define the job requirement or the job specification, the skill set required. So skill required for each role, you need to specify. It's very important. In terms of the skill, the experience, and the time you may need that person. Maybe for the first year, you may not need a web designer. You will resort in maybe the internet or other software. But with time, and how much are you going to pay each of these staff? And if you're hiring 2 people or 3, they multiply and get your total. So you do the same for all the other staff that you are going to hire. So that at any point in time, if the time is due, then you follow suit. Is there any question on the people's plan?
Excuse me, sir.
Yes.
After the presentation, you're gonna share this with us, right?
Yes, I'll share. Yes, I will send to the secretariat so that you have, and these are essence parts, so you can easily modify them to suit your company's or your business need.
All right, thank you
Now,
very much.
another key component of a business plan. Now, the operational plan may come in, but with the operational plan, here, where are you going to locate your business? What type of equipment will you need? What type of, maybe furniture fittings and all those that will help your business? You need to specify them, because listing the equipment, the furniture, the fitting, the location, and how you're going to set up the office space, knowing the cost will help you when you are determining your startup cost, how much you need to start the business. Now, in the business plan, under the operational plan, we have milestones or the overall schedule. Here, you list a number of activities. Maybe you are going to hire people. It's a key activity. Recruitment is key. So that would be the description, recruitment of key management staff. That would be first column for milestone. For the milestone, the second column, what date are you starting this recruitment? So start date comes. The third column, when are you going to end this recruitment? End date will come under the milestones. The next column, how much money, what is the budget for this recruitment? Budget comes. And then the next one is officer or manager responsible. Who is responsible for this activity? So the milestone spells out key activities that you are going to undertake in terms of start time, end time, budget, officer responsible for this activity. Then they all come part of the operational plan. Now, when it comes to the financial plan, the first item is the startup cost. How much money do you need to start the business? And I'll show you a template. You also need to make key assumptions. And this is where I'll go back to my friend, Ba. If you are to import and export, then you have to assume the exchange rate. What is the rate of exchange rate, the depreciation rate of your currency or appreciation rate of your currency? If it's 10%, you assume for the next or end of the year, the currency will depreciate by 40%. That's one. Inflation rate would affect the cost. Prices are going up. So your utilities, your workers' salaries may be established because you may have control. But there may be other expenditure that may be subject to inflation rate. So those expenses must be calculated based on the rate of inflation. If you're going for loan, interest rates, by the end of the year, what will be the interest rate? So you may need to make these assumptions so that when you are projecting your income statement, you are preparing your income statement, pro forma income statement, you are preparing your pro forma balance sheet and pro forma cash flow, you will have a fair idea of all these projections. Now, let's see a typical example of this financial plan documents. I think I have to close here again. Go to my screen again. Share this. So when it comes to startup costs, because you need to know how much you may need to start a business. Please, do you see my screen? Excel sheet, do you see it?
Yes, we do.
Yes, sir, it's visible. We are seeing it.
Okay. So when it comes to, okay, this is the startup cost. So you list all the things you will start, maybe development cost, for instance. Registering your company will be part of the development cost. Developing your product will be part of the maybe new product development cost. So you need to factor in how much is going to cost you to develop the product. Registering the company, the licensing you will secure. You need to factor all these costs. The next is the equipment. What kind of equipment are you going to use your business? How much will each equipment cost you? Promotional cost, building your brand, suppliers cost. So all these parts will be more or less working capital to run the day-to-day activities of the business. So putting all this together, adding all these costs will give you the amount of money you will need to start the business. The total setup cost will be this. So in that case, then you think about how do you finance this? Is it through your own savings, equity financing, or you pay part, maybe you need 100,000. So I'm going to contribute 60,000, 40,000 will be loan. So you are going to finance this startup cost by equity 100,000, 60,000, loan 40,000. So this will give you your startup cost, and they will feed into your balance sheet. Now that you are done with your startup cost, you come to the next, which is the income statement. Those of you without any accounting background, forgive me, but I think this is explanatory. You need to forecast your profit and loss for the next 3 years. But in a situation like in ours, where inflation is high, the rate of inflation is high, in a situation like Ghana, Liberia, and some of the, even Nigeria, and also experiencing high rate of inflation, but not comparable to Ghana, for instance. Ours is around 50%, which is really a bummer for a startup. You can calculate your income statement on a monthly basis. And at the end of the day, you put everything together. Because of inflation and what have you, your selling price may be changing from month to month. Your cost of sales may be changing. So your cost of your cash sales, accounts receivable or collectibles, and other cash receipts, putting together will give you a total revenue, sales revenue. Then how much did it cost you to produce the product? That determines your cost of sales. Deducting the total cost of sales from your total revenue will give you your gross profit. Are you following? And then when you deduct all these expenses from your gross profit, you have, or you add all these expenses to get the total profit. It seems I'm rushing you a little bit. But please, are you following the conversation?
Yes, we
Yes,
are.
sir, we are following up.
Yes, we are following.
Okay.
Then I'm
So you add all
Yes,
your
please.
expenses, you have your total expense. So when you subtract your total expenses from the gross profit here, you get your net profit. And that will tell you whether you are making a profit or a loss. And you do the same for the subsequent month. So at the end, you add all the monthly sales, you add all the monthly expenses, and you have your yearly what? Gross profit, yearly net profit for the business. I'll make this available to you. The next key one is your balance sheet. The balance sheet spells out what your company owns and what the business owes. So your company's assets and the company's liabilities. And the difference between the assets, liabilities, you give you what? Your capital. So in this case, we have current assets, your cash, the petty cash, your accounts receivable, meaning sales you have made on credit, because your accounts receivable, your stock, inventory. When you add all these items, you have your total current assets. Then you add your fixed asset, which is equipment, your furniture all together. When you add your fixed asset and the current asset, you have your total assets. Then the liabilities are the loans you took from the bank, the rent arrears you have not paid, all your accounts payables are your liabilities. Accounts payables are current liabilities. The loan is your long-term liability. So when you subtract all your liabilities from the total asset, you have the net asset, or what we call your net value. And your net value should equate your equity capital, amount of money you have invested, plus your retained earnings. So that's the balance sheet. So balance sheet is a statement that shows what the company owns, company's property, and what it owes to the outside world. And at the end, it will determine the net value of your business. You also need to know your cash flow, because cash flow is key. Because some companies can go bankrupt because of poor cash flow, liquidity issues. So they cannot pay meet their short-term obligation to go back. So the cash flow, you start with your opening cash balance. Cash says that you made on cash basis, you add your opening cash balance. Then all the expenses you made will be deducted from that. And when you subtract all the payments from the cash sales, you give you your cash balance at the end of each month. And you can do this for all the subsequent months to the December. So that you need to know your opening cash balance and your closing cash balance for each month. And in a business plan, you all need to demonstrate all these. So is there any comment, any question? I'll make sure I make the secretariat this templates available to secretariat so that you can use them for your work. Okay. So is there any comments? Sorry.
My comment here is like those tools are really, really good. I mean, like really interesting.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a great thing that you're able to show us that, and that should help us. I mean, personally, that should help me improve on strategizing and setting up a business plan for my personal business. So yeah, that's thank you. Let's say.
Is there any other comments? I will end this.
Yes, Prof. I have a question. I just wanted to find out if the information, I mean, the documents you've shared with us, especially the templates you just showed to us, will be made available for us to use.
Yes, I'll do that. I'll do that. I think last week I promised you a video on Steve Jobs startups. I will also add the video too, because I believe they'll be helpful if you're able to listen to some of these videos. Is there any other?
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no...
Doc, let me say thank you. This is Alaji again. This business plan, it has helped me a lot, because it helps me understand even the business model. Because I was finding it difficult to understand one of these days when we are on that session. But today it has helped me to, understand business model more because they are interconnected. Exactly. And it is well presented. We appreciate it. I want to say thank you. But in the case of preparing a business plan,
yes,
for every business plan is a successful business on paper. Am I correct?
How do you?
I said all business plans are successful business on papers.
I agree with you. I agree with
you. There is a saying, there was one video they played for us in one of our sessions. It says, every man has a plan until he is punched in the face. Exactly. And let's say, for example, I prepare a business plan for like a duration of 2 years. Yeah. And let's say at around 6 months of my business plan, let's say 80% or 70% of the business, the plans are going the wrong way. What should I do? Should I immediately go back to the plan and review them, or should I just, what is the best advice you give?
Definitely.
In most cases, this is what happens. You make the plan, but when you start the journey within the shortest possible time, because of so many factors that are responsible for the failure of businesses in Africa, and it gives you difficulties to continue. What do you suggest we do?
Yes, I would suggest that
a role model.
Your business plan should be a living document, meaning you should be constantly updating it, depending on the changes happening in your business internally and externally. Constantly, you should be updating it. Even in terms of your business model, you should be constantly updating your business model. And maybe next Tuesday, we'll look at business expansion. And I will take you through how you can even use your business model to expand your business operations. So the business plan should be constantly updating, day in, day out. But if you think, oh, this is the business plan for the next 3 years, so I'm not going to touch it. There is a saying that, and I made this point, that business plan, sometimes by the time this document come out of the printer, it is out of date. Because as a colleague said, one of the, I think Bas said, in our country, almost each day, the dollar, the Liberian dollar and Ghana cedi too, we've experienced continuous depreciation of the cedi. Until recently, that it has really stabilized and now coming down, the dollar falling a little bit. So you need to update it from time to time. And you see, I did a study some years back when about 3 businesses. And during that period, Ghana was experiencing power outages. But there were these 3 businesses that still, notwithstanding the challenges, they were still growing. So I decided to have an in-depth interviews with these entrepreneurs. And you see, one of the key things that all of them said was that, Prof, we constantly analyze our business environment to identify opportunities and the challenges, and internally, we always adjusting our internal operations to meet those challenges, adapting, adjusting, innovating. And that is how you can succeed. The moment you cease to adapt, the moment you cease to innovate, and here innovating, we are not saying come out with a new product altogether. Improve upon even the processes you conduct your business. It's a form of innovation. How you source your raw materials, make it better. It's a form of innovation. And if customers, even the way you deliver your service, why don't you make customers' life easy by starting delivery services, where customer places order and you deliver to the customer's doorstep and pay using mobile money? Are you getting the point? The business environment is changing every day. And to succeed, you constantly need to monitor. Like if you are an importer and you don't monitor exchange rate every day, by the time you realize your capital is gone. So constant monitoring, adjusting, innovating is the way forward. Is there any other question? Yes.
But finally, if you don't mind, share your contact with us on our platform. So like this, depends on WhatsApp. Sometimes we will be contacting you for coaching and policy. If you don't mind, sir.
Okay. Okay, I will do that. I will tell them to, but I'm Professor Bernard Obin. I'm meeting you next 2 weeks. Sorry, next Tuesday. Next Tuesday, my stylus will be writing. So I'll write my details on my computer screen for you, so that those of you who want to take note of that can. Today, my stylus, the battery is dead, so I cannot write on the screen. And it's really affected the delivery a lot, but we hope next week I will write but I also tell the Jasper and this to put my profile. I think my profile should be there. If it's not there, I'll tell them to put my profile on the platform, so that those who can also want to contact can contact for advice, discussions, and what have you.
Sure, Prof. Thank you very much. Yeah, Prof. So I think most of us with a little business background, I think we were trying to cope around with what was going on and others. So like you said, if you put your profile over there, we would try and reach out to you how's developing our business plan and any other stuff. So I hope it is also accepted, please.
Oh, definitely. That's fine.
Sure. Then thank you very much, Prof.
You are welcome, Kwesi. Is there any other? I wanted to show you a video on Core Values by Steve Jobs. When we meet next Tuesday, I'll try and share that video before we start talking about business, because it's very important. There are a lot we can learn from that gentleman, the late Steve Jobs. And I think it's a core values help us to build the culture of the business. And Apple is successful because of the culture they have built over the years and maintaining the core value. What drives them to do what they do is key. Is there any other? I think I rushed into it as is indicated. But next time I will try and make sure my stylus works, can write, and then most of the explanations, if I'm able to write on the screen, I think we get them better. And as you see indicated, those with a little business background, I know we've rushed you into it, but at least you have now a clear idea what comes together to make a business plan. And I think that is the most. I will share maybe a template also with you on the platform so that those of you who want to maybe explore further. And I believe that sometimes you can get a help from somebody. But the business plan should be your plan, not the consultant plan. The consultant writing it for you. No, it should be your own plan. So even if you don't have that technical know-how, you should be able to understand certain elements and components so that when the consultant or whoever is doing it for you, you can also provide some kind of inputs. Is there any other question, comments?
None from my end.
Okay.
I think also from my end, it's okay. We appreciate your information. Thank you very much, Dr.
You're welcome. Okay,
Yeah,
so
I just want to say thank you. And the class is really interacting and we learn a lot from you, sir.